This is Atrocity Girl, and since we have all the members here with us today, let's start by introducing everyone.
Hi guys, this is Johnny Angel.
I'm Angie, the drummer.
I'm Ryan, aka Cooch Boom.
On bass, that's right.
On bass.
She's on bass. I'm on guitar and vocals.
We're getting off to an amazing start on this today. I love it, y'all. It's like, so how have you all been surviving this past year and what I thought was going to be a bad year in 2020, and then 2021's not really starting off great either, to tell you the truth? Like, how have y'all been surviving?
It's funny. I think, in my opinion, for me, I think it's just surviving means being with these girls. Like they truly are like the only bright thing in my life. So like they're the only thing that I look up to and I look forward to, and us being in a band and playing music together. Like I couldn't ask for anything more like during a pandemic. So like that has sort of been the survival, and like learning new things and the recording and every like videography. It's been really cool. So, you know.
Same.
Nice.
No, but I would say that, it was completely unexpected. And the reason that we decided to stay together during the pandemic and when we're on lockdown is so that we could still make music and still jam and still hang out together. And, you know, we've had sleepovers and we've spent every holiday together, and we've been cooking and learning how to record ourselves, setting up a studio. So yeah, that's the survival.
Yep, same thing. I mean, moving to 2021, you know, it's not like some magical pill that you take and everything's better again. So
If only.
I know, right? I wanted that so hard, but no, I think we're just going to continue what we've been doing. And I think Johnny said it best. We kind of like, with all the craziness going in the world, we kind of just like recoiled into this little atrocity bundle, and we've just been
because like we have each other, you know, when there's nothing else around and no one else, it's like we have each other always to lean on, which has been the best thing.
Yep.
It's been the craziest year because like even with the pandemic and we've had so much time to ourselves, and just with everything going on, you learn so much about like what you value the most. And I think that's been like the best thing that's happened out of 2020 was definitely like Atrocity Girl and recording. And
I saw someone make a Facebook post about that. They were like, yeah, this pandemic's really teaching you like who's important in your life and what you really need to survive and all that. And I think this really shines true for us.
Yeah, it does.
The built-in community that you get being in a band and being around each other and everything like that. I mean, I know it's like sometimes, you know, I laugh about it, but this has been like the best year to be, like for me to be trapped in a house with 5 dudes, you know, sharing like cooking together. And, you know, it's like you have like this built-in community and germ circle and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, germ circle.
Germ circle.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. And we've been inspiring each other to learn new things, and it's been really incredible, you know, and challenging each other and rising to the occasion. And that's been extremely amazing to feel and to see and to grow in that way too. It's been really surprising and amazing.
What's the biggest thing that you've learned on this trek so far towards like putting out your first single and everything and the build up to that? Because there's so many things involved when you're doing it yourself, like you all do.
It's
passing the mic back and forth.
I mean, I would say, you know, if you would have asked me that 10 months ago, I would have said, you know, playing live shows. But ever since we had, you know, this whole meltdown with like recording studios and we took recording into our old hands, like we've gone this, I mean, it's beautiful, but it's also this overwhelming and just like hardcore journey into like audio engineering and mixing and mastering and learning everything about that has been like, it's the most exciting thing, but it's also been like one of our most like biggest hurdles.
Yeah, absolutely. That's been the I think the hardest thing and the most rewarding as well. And because the first few months, of course, of, you know, everything changing with the pandemic, we weren't really doing a lot. I mean, I think along with the rest of the world, we were trying to figure out what we can and can't do, and kind of being in a lot of denial. And then really when we decided to take recording into our own hands, we reached out to some of the women in the community like Rachel Field and Lillian Blair, and really learn from them. And they were just huge inspirations and mentors. And so I think for me, like actually coming together with Atrocity Girl and trying to form a community of female engineers. That's been, I've just learned so much every day from our group that we post on Facebook, and we just learn from each other every single day about how to do this recording thing at home.
You mentioned Rachel, and I got to say, like, Rachel's one of those people where I feel like we all know her, and like so many of us in the community have worked with her, and she's someone I think of as like, no matter what band, what style of music or something like that, it's like at the end of the day, we're all going to end up going to Rachel, and she's going to, work on, for those of you that don't know Rachel Field, shout out, she works at Resonant Mastering. She co-owner, I should say, of Resonant Mastering. And she's mastered so many projects, so many bands in Seattle. She's awesome. How was that experience of working with her? And you mentioned Lillian Blair too, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Oh, it was amazing. It was funny because it turned out that in the audio production classes at UW, she ended up being a guest lecturer for one of the classes. So we got to see, inside the studio and what she does. And she ended up mastering our single.
And that was Rachel or for Lillian?
For Rachel.
Okay, yeah.
And so that was amazing to work with her and to learn from her. And then Lillian is usually the lead engineer at Vera Project, though that's shut down right now. But she's been teaching online mixing classes through Vera Project. And so we've learned just a ton about mixing from her as well. So, I mean, we really threw ourselves into this. It's not like, we decided to, record and try to mix out of nowhere. We're not taking it seriously, or we're not trying to learn. No, we're really dedicating our days to learning, and they've been instrumental.
I also just want to touch up real quick about just shouting out to Rachel Field. Also, I know that they've been like selling t-shirts and stuff to help raise money to go into the Seattle Artist Trust Fund. So whoever listens to this, get a shirt. And if you're a musician, like, help to like, I just wanted to point that out. I think that was really awesome. And I really love that she is so involved in that way. And, I feel like she's really helped us quite a bit, and has really kind of like, her and Lillian have led us on the path to where we are now, and like we're recording everything on our own. It wasn't like that in the beginning, because in the beginning it was so scary and very intimidating. And I was talking to Ryan on the way here. I was like, man, do you remember that time, like that when we were in the room together and I looked at you girls, I was like, dude, why can't we do this ourselves? Because we were so tired of like all this crap that we had been going through with studios, and just like really, you know what I mean? Very just negative energy that we were getting from,
I know, I told her, I was like, I think I looked over at you and kind of like chuckled and said, okay.
She did. Yeah. It was almost like, yeah, right. I mean, but it was like that power talk. And then it was so funny because I looked back on that day and I was like, girls, we can do this ourselves. And it was like something sparked in all of us.
I know, it's kind of like, it started with that, right moment. But then after we like, we got a grant from the Artist Trust Fund, so shout out to the Artist Trust Fund.
Exactly.
But we were able to put some money down on some recording gear, and we got soundproofing, and then we were setting up in her room, and next thing I know, I was like, holy shit.
That's what got it started. It was when we talked about it, when we were like, hey, we're going to do this ourselves. And it took a minute for us to maybe like sort of like think about it. But at the end of that conversation, we were all just like, fuck yeah, let's do it. We have, a good amount of money in our Atrocity Band fund that we can be able to buy this stuff. And then thanks to the Seattle Musicians Trust, that fund, we were able to, like she said, build the studio from nothing. And here we are now. And like Ryan and Angie have been they've just been dedicating so much of their time and their lives to figure out how we can help not only ourselves, but other, musicians and a lot of other women engineers and musicians in the community as well. So it's been pretty incredible.
And this is something I always got to say that it feels like, man, bands get so intimidated by recording and audio and all this stuff. And I feel like coming from me, it's like I started off playing drums in bands too and stuff like that. And it was I remember being 19 and be like, I can't afford like professional recording studio or stuff like that. Or even if you could, it was just like, well, can't we like just take this stuff into our own hands, because we're actually going to dedicate time and energy like to really treat this thing like, you know, it's our baby. And there's a meme like of like a horse that was tied to like a lawn chair, you know, and it's like the caption is like, sometimes the only thing that's holding you back is all in your head, you know what I mean?
Yes. I love that. Well, but it does take time, you know, like you said, it does take a lot of time and dedication, and that's something, you know, that for better or worse, like we got because of the pandemic. And so we were able to dedicate that time to learning this new field and the industry. And
I was going to add in, it's like, and it wasn't even anything to do out of like self-righteous or like ego or anything like that. It was real, because like even after we started for Atrocity Girl, Angie has extremely thrown herself into this mixing, and she started the Seattle Women's Audio group.
Yes.
And she actually linked up with Tony Crash from Musicians Hangout.
Yes.
And is like, we're inspiring like all these women in Seattle, like, you know, this, you can do this, like, and there's resources for you out here. So it's just like spiraled into this huge thing.
I mean, I think really too, it was learning about how few women there are in the field.
Yeah.
And that was really motivating. And we, especially as women, I mean, we had experiences that I think a lot of other women in audio have had too, with, you know, certain engineers would flirt with, you know, one of the members of the band, or we were threatened at one point. I mean, just those kinds of experiences that we were just sick of. And we thought, you know, we don't really have to deal with this anymore. And then it turned out to be 99% of the women that we talked to in bands or musicians had the same stories and the same experiences. So I think that was really eye-opening for me to also think of and realize that 2020 was the first year that I actually saw a woman engineer in my personal like experience as a musician. So that was a big realization for me. Like, oh, I didn't even think about it before.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Just knowing that they're out there and that, you know.
No, it's funny. Like, yeah, we didn't set out to like have it be anything like, oh, like, look what we're doing, like, in your face. But it's like, even because, you know, I work at a coffee shop. So I told a girl today at work, she's like, what are you doing after work? And I'm like, oh, we're going to lay down some tracks at her home studio. And I was telling her the same story. And I go, yeah, I was like, did you know that there's only 5% of female engineers in the industry? And she looks at me and she goes, wow. She's like, that's a lot more than I thought. She's like, well, she's like, I don't mean that.
5% is nothing. Like, that's a tiny little. Sorry.
But I saw her say that though, and she was just like, that's a lot more than I thought. And I go, she's like, not to like shit on myself, but I'm like, girl. So I don't know, just yeah, you know what I mean.
And that's something that's borne out by the numbers, and that's something that I will absolutely co-sign to from my experience in recording and audio and stuff like that. It is definitely a boys' club. It is the kind of thing that attracts, frankly, you know, some dudes with some spare cash that want to go buy some gear, and they like having toys and playing around. And it's like, it is not always the most professional environment, unfortunately, for that. And that is a problem, you know, I think both for the industry and for, you know, women in bands, you know, femme in general, people that have to deal with people like that.
You know, I was thinking of just touching up, and I feel like it's definitely has a lot to do with just the male ego. I think just by nature, men are so competitive. And it's how they survive. You know, it's really, truly how they survive in this world. And, you know, that even goes for women. Like, they're competitive no matter what you are. You're gay, straight, woman, whatever, you know. But I think
I also have to say, I don't even know, for me, I don't know if in my experience it's really a competitive thing, because, you know, the stupid part about it is when you get all those guys in a room like that, we all kind of become idiots, you know, like we all just chum out and bro out, and then honestly, like, not as much work gets done, or it really doesn't get done in like a very efficient way, because it's like, you know, everybody's just sort of like hanging out like it's a chill atmosphere. And I think that actually that's one thing that organizations that are more gender balanced in the way, I think they do have a competitive advantage, because again, it's like, it just makes it like a more professional environment where people aren't going to like, you know, chum out as much. It's like, okay, there should be at least, you know, like a more professional respect like going on there, you know. I think that's beneficial. Exactly. And no doubt, I'm definitely saying there's not those. I'm sure there certainly are people out there like that in the industry. It's really weird when we got into
trying to record with other people, it was just so disastrous because like it was just the ego and that there was just something about it where we just felt so like inferior, I guess.
Well, I don't know. I don't want to, like, that's the thing I was trying to get to. Like, I don't want to say that, like, it's anything of, like, it's nothing gender related. Like, it's not like we're shitting on men exclusively.
Absolutely.
Because there's a lot of great guys who would bend over backwards to help us. But my point is that, like, with all the studios that we were, I almost forgot about this because it's been so long. We've been doing so well with all this learning, as overwhelming as it's been. But I remember when we started, I forgot we posted, Angie made a post about like Atrocity Girls taking things in her own hands. We're going to record. You won't believe if you go back to that post and look at the comments, so many men underneath are like, haha, good luck. And they're like,
even some women were actually being very discouraging. It was really weird.
They were like, you should just go to a studio. It's going to be better for you. You won't have to work as hard. It'll be ready for you. Just let them do what they do and you'll be just fine.
Well, it's that old saying, never ask a barber if you need a haircut.
Yes. Yep. No, exactly.
No, of course it's going to be better if you come to my studio, and give me some money.
Of course.
Of course you're going to say that.
You go back home, your friend's like, what the hell happened to your hair? I went to Master Cuts. And she said,
Yay. It's been so fun though, the progression and the progress, like everything. That first day when we actually had the supplies in the room upstairs, like we were kind of just like, okay, so now what do we do? Where does this go? And so we were really learning as everything like came in our way. So, okay, we had soundproofing. Okay, so now we're learning about room acoustics.
Yeah.
And, okay, now we have this interface or, this gear that we're borrowing from a friend who's not using it. Okay, so now we need to learn what an interface does and how that relates to, et cetera. And so, luckily.
Oh, and then Angie goes like, "Oh, did you know that we need bass traps?" I'm like, "Why are you putting a booby trap on my bass?"
Yeah. So.
It's for the corners. Oh, okay, let's get some of those.
So it was like, what was really fun is that we ended up learning so much as we went along, and it's been, silly, obviously, at times, and there's a lot that now, knowing what we know, like we would go back and do very differently. But it's part of the fun and part of the journey, and just all being here, setting up cables and learning how to get everything to interact with each other. And like, I remember that first day when we got the signal flow to Johnny's computer.
That's a moment right there.
Yes. Yeah. And like the mic turned on in Pro Tools, and it was so exciting.
That was a huge feat. Just that little tiny thing almost like boosted the inspiration where we're like, okay, something as little as this, dude, we can do it. Like, what's the next step? What can we do?
The best part of that is Johnny hasn't changed at all. She still taps the mic and says, "Sexual Sally."
Yeah. Like a year later.
Dude, I haven't changed in 33 years.
No, it's true. And so, but everything is DIY, like to communicate to each other. From the control room, which is my bedroom, and like down the hall, we have walkie-talkies, and it's really fun. And like they run out of batteries, so we're screaming at each other through the wall. It's like, okay, like one knock, and that means like record. And
she's like, I don't think she can hear me. I was like, shit. Okay, I have to walk down the hall.
We're like one bang, that means okay, stop, and we'll retry.
So you'll just hear like a door open and someone's running down the hall, and it's just, but like. It feels so nice to record something and then hear it, you're playing it back, and it's so amazing.
Yeah, the control room is in her bedroom, so like when we go to listen to the track, like we're all just like piling on her bed, like we've taken over her house, dude.
Oh, for sure.
And then listening to the track, so it's really exciting.
I'm all like, Angie, do you got another pillow? I'm gonna listen to this right quick.
Like Brian like passes out sometimes.
Oh,
I've seen
for
you.
Sure.
Like snoring.
Like depending on how many weed cookies Ryan has had.
I wake up and I'm like, oh shit, am I doing bass track? Okay.
And she's, yeah, exactly.
The last time that we talked to you, dude, I was so high, like I just couldn't even function. Like,
we're gonna cut this part out because the people don't know about that. But
oh right, okay. Nobody knows. Never
I might
mind.
leave that part in anyway. But whatever. Continue on. Continue on though. Fair enough.
Johnny.
Oh my God.
I was wondering about that too, because the last time it happened, I was just like Johnny didn't say anything for like the first like 20 minutes. I'm like, is she alive over there, dude? Like,
I was like, does your front woman just, other than sing, does she speak?
I know, like, which is so funny because the most like excited she got, the most vocal she got was when she was talking about the weed, and when she was talking about the
we
weed
had the
brownie.
story with like how I think it was Ryan that got pushed into the lake or so,
Oh, she didn't get okay.
No, I fell
She
in the
didn't
pond.
get pushed yet.
My bad.
She
Fell into
fell.
the
She
pond,
straight
my
up
bad.
walked into
Okay,
the fire.
correction. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah,
No,
Ryan.
I'm glad you brought that up. That was the first day of soundproofing the walls in our studio.
Yeah, that's right. What a memory.
I know. So that's why the first day of recording will always be reminiscent of Ryan falling in the fucking pond.
It was so funny. I gave her the fattest fucking dab, and I got her the fattest dab, and I got her so stoned, and I felt bad, dude. Like, it was one of those stones where, like, you know, you don't smoke very much. When you take a dab, it's just like,
She got me at the right moment because I have a good self, like I have a good angel on my shoulder, and she's like, Ryan, don't do that. She's like, you know better than this, and I'm like,
but then Johnny was on your other shoulder,
no,
being
you
like,
weren't.
hey.
No. I was gonna say what was happening is I was so elated from everything happening. I was like, oh my god, we're studio, what's going on? Yeah, I was like, give me that dab.
But it was so sad. Like, I mean, not sad, but like, I was like, yeah, to celebrate, I'm going to show you this like magical place.
Yeah, she's like, we should go to the. She's like, we should go to the serene pond and just put this memory in our mind forever.
Just like, let's go and like hang out. And then we like were walking down the path, and then I don't know what happened. Like, there's a pond, but part of it looked like you could walk on it, apparently.
Because there was like algae or whatever, like green looking algae growth that was like
No, that's
on
what
the
made
water.
it so disgusting, because it's literally covered in, you know, when the green gets so thick, it looks like solid.
So
That's what it was.
Johnny and I just heard a splash behind us.
Like, bro, I saw this, like, I saw the entire thing. It was almost like in slow motion. And when she fell, I was walking up to the pond, like literally like trying not to laugh, but I was laughing, but I was still concerned.
Oh,
I wasn't even pissed at her. I'm just like,
It's terrible. I was like, I had my arm around Ryan, like walking her back, but I had to like turn around and look at Johnny to laugh.
Because I was just like,
Because
the only
it's
thing
like-
that survived was my wallet, because like some like band stickers and my eyeliner and my phone, my AirPods,
Ooh, that's
all
right.
went to the bottom of the pond.
Damn.
And as we were walking back to the car, I'm like, just get me to the car, just get me to the car. And Will, her husband, and Angie were like, do we go back and get it? And I was like, no, you don't understand. It's so deep, you can't get it.
Oh yeah, this isn't like a wading pond. No. Ryan shot completely down, submerged.
like a rock,
Head
bro.
under-
Yeah, so
Underwater.
her husband was like, I can go back and fetch it. I'm like, no, you can't.
Like, she was down.
It was so funny because as you were walking, it's like she was walking as if she was on a mission. She was like, let's go this way. And so her arms are kind of flailing a little bit. And then when she goes down, she's like, it was, oh my
And then
God,
it's just
it was
like,
so funny.
you see nothing. I mean, she shot up like a bullet. I
Yeah,
mean,
I'm telling you guys, if you ever
just
saw
got
Lord of the
up.
Rings, when I fell in, I saw dead people. Like,
yeah.
I shot up so quick.
like all you hear was just a splash. And
Oh man.
oh my God.
Oh god.
But Ryan's amazing. Like, we got back home, and you know what? Like, she cleaned up, she emerged the pond princess, and she got herself a cocktail, and we kept soundproofing the room. So
Yeah, I had to change my clothes. I changed into some of Angie's clothes. Will made me a martini, and I went back up and I started stapling the fucking wall.
Like, this was all after she puked.
oh yeah.
oh, that's right.
Like when we got back, when we took her back here to the
Oops.
place, and like she like puked, right? Like, I mean, exorcist status, bro. Like right over like three sets, like three
Don't
steps.
tell them now.
It was so
Projectile. And she pushes me out of the way to like save me, and I like shoot over the door, and she just it was amazing.
Just like one of the top two best stories like ever.
for sure. And then like the fact that we ended the night though together, like, you know, finishing up the ceiling is kind of
I
incredible.
know they kept saying like, do you want to go home? And I'm like, no, I think we gotta finish the soundproofing.
Because at first you were just
love
like,
that.
I want to go home.
Yeah, we can't go yet. We got a job to finish here, man.
Yeah.
I was like,
What we gotta
just
do.
because I found the
Yeah.
pond and I'm stupid. I was like, I gotta finish.
But you can still have some fun while you're at it, you know?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So she attacked those walls. Yeah, it was amazing. And they're all like, we got red and black soundproofing and, you know, panels and foam and everything for our band colors. And so we had as much fun as possible. And we got red and black paint, and like we put our handprints all over, and it was so much fun.
Yeah, we did red and black handprints all over the walls and stuff. So it just kind of looks like a massacre site of Atrocity Girl.
True. Yeah.
What it looked like after you fall into a pond.
Johnny was drawing Atrocity Girl on the wall, and then she started drawing this blood up in the corner, and she's like, does that look like a period stain?
Yeah, dude, we're gonna need a Tampax, guys. Where's my panty liners?
Oh my God.
Why? We were girls.
And yeah, we're girls. No.
It happens.
Oh my God. But then so one of my favorite things, Johnny as a mechanic and just like amazing with everything. We got some plywood, and she made this like the floor for the drums in the room. And then, I mean, everything in there was basically DIY.
That's right, because Angie, I can't remember who you heard it from, but somebody gave you the tip to put the board underneath.
Oh yeah, so it's like board and carpet, and
that
like
was Joe,
part
right?
of it. And Brad probably.
And Brad too.
Yeah.
Something about it just helps with the sound.
Yeah, because
the snare.
sometimes if you can get a drum kit off the floor level like that, there's a resonance that happens from like underneath,
Yes.
even just that little bit of space, getting that above the floor. But yeah, I'm familiar with that trick sometimes.
And I think we wound up getting like 3/4 inch birch wood, which is perfect because birch's wood is what they use to make, you know, some drums, like drums
Sometimes,
and stuff,
yeah.
which is perfect.
Yeah, so you built like a DIY drum riser to go with everything.
It was
We're
awesome.
DIY all up in this.
Seriously, like she's having, you know, she has her like gin in one hand and her little like saw, her electric saw in the other.
She's
like just going through the board, and you can't get the board up anymore. I don't know the nails that went into that floor.
Kids, if you're listening to this, don't drink gin and use a saw, though. That's probably not a great idea.
Oh right,
because we had to bring this giant piece of board up to the room. Like we didn't know. We didn't have a measuring tape. We just didn't know how big we needed it to be. No. My original plan was to do it outside, but then we had it upstairs, and I was like, "F this!" You know, we're gonna
again the things we would do differently now.
Exactly.
Yeah. No.
But the point is, like, then we, we took everything out of there, and then in the closet, that's where the vocal booth is. Like, that's where we put the amp. And everything in there was just, we kind of planned it out with either books or like Ryan with her stapler, the staple gun, and the foam and the panels. Johnny hung one of our panels from the ceiling over the drums, and it.
Oh, they weren't messing with me with a staple gun. They're like, you should keep it in your purse. And I'm like, I will.
We should do more of those. Yeah, could get floating panels on the ceilings and stuff.
For
Yeah,
sure.
we should need more of those. Yeah.
Oh, now we have the blanket too.
Yeah, we got sound blankets. So we're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You always got to keep the staple gun handy too for when you're putting up posters around town and stuff like that. People used to ask me why I had one of those in the back of my trunk and stuff like that. It's like we didn't have a show, so they didn't see the poster part, you know. But it's like I still held on to the staple guns. I was like, yeah, you got to do what you got to do.
It's crazy the things you don't realize that you need, like in my truck. I mean, I know it looks weird, but I usually have like a thing of rope that's like mixed up with like a duct tape. So it just looks wrong, but it's weird how like the times you realize you need those things.
Oh my God.
I know, but at least anybody who tries to break into my truck will know, like, oh God, I'm breaking into a serial killer's truck. I gotta get out of here.
I was gonna say, you break into the wrong truck, you break into the truck and you see like rope and duct tape and all sorts of other stuff, and you're like, yeah,
And a screwdriver that was with it. Exactly.
Let's get away from this place.
Yeah. Let's just boop.
Things we do that seem normal to us as musicians, but that weirds out, pretty much everybody
Right?
else in society.
Oh God, what is that? No, pay no mind.
It was like all in a plastic bag, like this big plastic bag. Like, the rope is like inside the duct tape.
Oh my God.
This looks terrible.
So bad.
Look in the back of my truck. All I have is like dirty bag, some rope, duct tape, and some Vaseline. You're like, fuck.
What? Wait, Vaseline?
Whoa, like Vaseline and a straight razor. Like,
excuse.
like it's weird. I literally have a giant axe sitting behind the seat of my truck. Like,
Nice.
it's just a giant axe.
Perfect.
Brand new.
That's perfect.
Don't ask why.
She's leaving stuff around too. There's like a chainsaw in the back of my car. And I don't even remember when or how it got there. And it's just like, oh yeah, that must be Johnny's.
What about the time that there was that we put the what was in the back of the car for the longest time? She had the air conditioner that was in the back of the randomly. We just had an air conditioner back there.
It was like she finally used it in the last month, like of the summer.
It was really nice.
Every time we opened the truck to put something in there, we're like, what is
it sooner?
It was so great.
I know.
Anyway,
it's finally in your window.
I bought it when I lived on a boat, and then I used it like a handful of times, and I gave it to her.
I love it. You know how we are, girls and their accessories.
Exactly. Like rope duct tape.
No, Angie. No, I have to put a clip note here. Angie's car is beyond that. Like, okay.
Let's not talk about Angie's car.
Okay.
They complain about the car, but they get in it. So
yeah, that's very true. We have no choice.
Okay, we get in it, but God knows what you'll find every time.
Definitely find old Starbucks cups for show.
it's true.
I think that's every car.
And lots of drum gear.
That's true too.
Random drum gear, so you know it's her car.
Such is the joy of DIY recording and having a nice community of people year round during this global pandemic, and we're fiddling while Rome burns.
Yes,
so fun.
and learning from the greater audio community too. Well, and women in audio through the group has been. It became global. Like we've been learning from women in Brazil and Ecuador and London, and we've been having these Zoom classes for the group. So we've been able to meet all of these different women working in, their field or their specialization of mixing or Foley or, post-production and what have you. And yeah, so even though we're kind of in this lockdown predicament, we can still meet people from other places. So that's been really cool.
What are some of the other bands you miss around Seattle that you played with?
Nurse Ratchet.
I was just gonna say yes, Nurse Ratchet. She's an amazing bass player, an amazing vocalist, amazing bass player, and everything. Definitely Nurse Ratchet. Do you have any favorite bands that we've played with? Any bands that we've played with that you missed playing with?
Oh, Atrocity Girl?
Yeah.
I mean, I've met so many bands over all the years I've been in the music scene. So with Atrocity Girl, after I joined, there was only a handful of live shows that I played.
Deadbeat Blackout.
Yeah, Deadbeat Blackout's one of them. Watch Rome Burn. I did who else did we play with that I actually could say? No Baby.
No Baby, yeah.
My other band that we played with, Mallory. Obviously, I'm biased.
Yeah, of course.
I love. Who else did I play with before we left or before I joined?
No, after you joined.
Or after I joined,
yeah,
sorry.
we're talking about after, the bands that we played with together.
Yeah, with AG, that's all the ones so far. But
yeah, it was really sad. We were booked through the year, and then, kind of a month after Ryan joined, everything was canceled. So.
It really sucked, yeah, because with my other bands, I've met tons of bands in the scene. All bands I was actually excited to play again with in Atrocity Girl. Yeah, and I was totally bummed out after we canceled all the shows. So hopefully more, but
yes, shout out to Deadbeat Blackout because we love them.
Yes.
Woo!
We're waiting on the live shows to come back, but in the meantime, I want to take a break here and let's play this new single of y'all's, and we'll come back here in just a minute with Atrocity Girl.
Dope.
anytime any of us says dope, one should finish it off with titty. Let's be real.
Dope titty.
All right.
That's it.
Thanks.
Johnny started it. She started saying dope titty.
Sexual.
Real.
I've like turned them on to just weird phrases, like weird things to say, like that other people wouldn't say.
I know, and I'm starting to say it at work. Like I'm at work and like I want someone to pass me something. I'm like, hey, will you slap me that real quick? And they're like, you want me to slap you with this? I'm like, no, slap me the pan, give it.
Because I say the word slap. Like, for someone I don't know.
Those are my favorite moments when it's like the world's colliding, because that happened last week. My day job as an instructor at North Seattle Community College, even though it's online right now, but I was doing a share screen and it was something, for a book or something. But then like all my files for fuck yourself just like came on instead. I was like, and there I am in my, my blazer, and I'm like, excuse me. It's like, actually, let's, turn to chapter or whatever. And it just like,
sorry, this is my after hours persona.
Yes, exactly.
I don't talk about this on LinkedIn.
Yeah. So it was just so silly.
Angie's like a Jekyll and Hyde, dude. Like,
She really is.
It's weird. Like, she has these two different like personalities. Like, she's like this amazing, like just professional type or whatever, and then like the other hand, like she'll stab a mother. She'll stab a bitch.
It's true.
Angie is the most professional, but also just like wild lady I've ever met.
We were just talking about that, dude. Me and Ryan were just talking about that. I looked at her. I was like, I'm scared of Angie.
Yeah, I was like, some days, like Johnny and I, but it's a double-sided coin, because just the other night I was being like, I was like, we love Angie so much, we can come to her for anything, and Johnny's like, yeah, I understand. She's like one of the most easiest.
I mean, it's true. Like, and I was like, Angie's like one of the only people that can like put me in my place. Like, she'll just give me a look, and I'm like, okay, I'm just like, okay, no, it's true.
But other days she'll be like, do you want some gin? You want to talk about this? I'm like, oh god,
what is happening?
Jekyll or Hyde?
Hey, you gotta keep people on their toes.
She's like the band mom almost.
You have no idea. Like, she is the den mother. She's like the den mother of Atrocity Girl. You know how they say the drummer is the heartbeat? Like, bro, she is like
the heartbeat of everything
and more. She's like the kidneys and the liver.
Yeah.
My liver might be going at this point, but
you've got two more over here. Maybe.
No, that's so sweet though. Like, I love these girls so much. So it's just my life. No, I'm just kidding.
Like, dude, for real. Like, she was the first one to get an Atrocity Girl tattoo. And then the day that we went and got it, it was just like, there was something about that day where I was like, oh my God. Like, it was like a moment for me. I was like, she's dead serious about this. Like, she is, to me, like, as a person, an artist, and I'm also a tattoo artist as well, I'm like, that is a huge commitment. Yeah. And so I knew, I was like, she's a lifer, bro. Like, we're doing this. Like, we're doing this.
That was my first tattoo ever, and Johnny came with me, and it was a whole deal.
Wow.
It was amazing.
Awesome. It was beautiful.
It was amazing.
And then they slapped this big ass one on my arm.
It's very true.
It's actually really not big at all. So.
Oh, are you kidding me? She said it was the big, out of all of us, mine's the biggest one.
It is.
What was I supposed to do?
So, I mean, she sat down like in front of Johnny with the needles, so I don't know what she was expecting.
True.
Just kidding.
Hey, it looks sexual. Okay?
It is, yeah. The only thing is that people keep asking me if it's the Avengers, and I'm like, hell no. It's Atrocity Girl.
FYI, that is now a patented logo.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've had fun cases of like tattoo misidentity like that. Yeah. Like people, I have this one that's like, it was an album art from a record I recorded years ago. Shout out to Mind You. But yeah, the cover art was a Photoshop version of Albert Einstein, and it was like on my leg. So sometimes I'd wear shorts. And one time I went through the drive-thru, and the woman working in the drive-thru thought it was like Colonel Sanders from KFC, like from a distance.
No.
You're like, yeah, I missed that up on my fast food. Like,
I wasn't mad or anything. I thought it was funny, man. It was like,
That's hilarious.
From because it was a black and white tattoo, and from a distance, like, yeah, I could see like what happened with that. But it's
that's so funny.
Tattoo misidentity is always, that's always fun. Or not, maybe.
Johnny, what did you just say?
Nothing.
I'm thinking about this. I might be open to it.
I said, Ryan.
No, I know what you said. I'm thinking about it.
Okay.
All right. They're needing some more alcohol, so they're just going back and forth.
I just offered a sexual favor to get the gin.
Yeah,
I'm
she's over
open to
here
it.
offering some things. Some R-rated.
Just don't offer what you can't deliver.
Honey, you know I deliver.
Oh my. Anyway, so someone owes something, to another one of us later for some gin. Just keep it at that. But anyway, no, just kidding. But yes, the logo is trademarked now through our LLC. So that's another huge thing actually about 2020, with all this time on our hands. We really we came together as a business as well as a band. And so, we have our own official bank account and all these official papers and our business license. And then 8 months later, so it just happened a little while ago, the logo was finally trademarked, approved for trademarking. So, things like that have been incredible.
Those little steps like that make you feel like, oh yeah, it's happening. It's official.
It's so fun. It feels so official, especially after, we went back and forth maybe every few weeks. There would be more paperwork or another question answered, or like they would need the lawyer, someone would need proof of a t-shirt sold, or, oh, have you actually used this out in public? Even with a ton of evidence, they would just constantly need more and more. So it took 8 months of back and forth for it to actually be approved. And so it really did feel like a milestone, especially since we had started recording. It felt like things were really solidifying.
Man, y'all got lawyers involved. You're official.
Oh, we're official. But also that's, I just, we just want to be protected in every way. So my advice to anybody starting out too is just make sure what you're getting into as far as how you're protected and how your material and content is protected, because it's your art, it's your baby. So, but
that logo started from nothing. It started from a piece of paper. Like I was vacationing with with one of my best friends in Rochester, New York, and this was around the time where we were really we were getting serious about everything with Atrocity Girl, and I had sorry, I'm making her a drink. Anyways,
you gotta slow up on the alcohol. I'm just saying.
For the longest time, I was trying to figure out how to create the logo, and then it just sort of came to me the couple of days before I left, and I had jotted it down on a piece of paper, and I wound up accidentally leaving it in my truck, and I had the idea. And then when I was in New York, I was sitting at the table at night and stuff, and I drew it up real quick and whatever, and I sent it to Angie. I just did it on this little piece of ruler paper or whatever, and then that was it. And then we kept it since then. It's been the exact same logo, and nobody has it, and it was it came from me, it came from us, and it felt unique and special. And I like the idea. My favorite thing about logos, because I love making logos, is being able to sort of intertwine the lettering together so it works. And it did. You could put the G on the A, and it just looks sick.
No, and both of them really taught me about, because my other tattoo on my right arm is at my other band, Mallory, and it's a really intricate design, but all the stuff with AG, I was like, yeah, it's really important to make sure that no one can take your stuff. So I think Angie and Johnny were more into that than I was, because I had gotten lost in just how simple just playing live shows are.
Yeah.
I think with me being with Atrocity Girl, has taught me more about the industry itself, outside of just playing a live show. Because I think a lot, and I heard that from multiple people after I joined AG, where they were like, yeah, a lot of bands forget, they get lost in just, oh yeah, we're a jam band, we're gonna go play. I'm like, yeah, but is all your stuff trademarked? Are you
Well, and I honor these women so much and their creativity, and the lyrics, and it's just like, I want to make sure Johnny's protected. I want to make sure her lyrics are protected. And so that's always on my mind, like, okay, whatever we're doing, spend a little time, like each morning, just making sure we've all gone through everything. And, but what's super fun about the logo is that, the tattoo artist that did my tattoo and Johnny's tattoo, not simplified it, but created the Angie with, just kind of clearer lettering than the hand-drawn AG originally, but the hand-drawn AG is the one that's on the drum head.
Yep.
So it has that kind of like drawing, a little bit of like the curvy, wiggly,
The little edginess.
yeah, the edges. So I always thought that was kind of fun. And then that night of the tattoo was the first time we played Fuck Yourself together.
I remember the day, I remember the day too that I finally, it started out as just a chorus, and I think this is when we were at our old jam space at Stub Station, so we were just one block over, and it started out as a chorus, and then we just started playing it. I had no lyrics to it at the time, but after a while, I think it was after we moved to the new spot, and I didn't have lyrics for it for the longest time, so we wound up actually jamming it, and I was I got lyrics for it. And
it's always been my favorite song. There's a what's the scientific word, kinetic feeling between Johnny and I, when we're playing strings and I look over at her and we play that song. It's intense. I love that song.
I love when we have those moments where we sort of look at each other and it's just we almost feed each other's energy to just hit the strings even harder. And
that's one of the things, the bass line I wrote for Fuck Yourself it's so I don't know, after I wrote it and Johnny loved it, I was just I'm feeling it every time I play this. And to the point where I was begging them before we left practice, I was can we play that just one more time?
And it's true, you added this richness to it with the bass that I would never even pictured in my own mind. In my own mind, and the way that I would have played it would have just been too it just would have been too simple. And she added just so much to it, so much depth, and I was really, really excited, and it's just started to sound like a full song. And then every time we play it, it's I can always feel so much energy and emotion and behind it. And then we'll play it harder, and especially when we get to the breakdown, we're just we go nuts.
Everyone knows that feeling when you get the tingles in your arms and your back, and you're God. Oh God, here it comes.
The breakdown.
It's what I live for with this music stuff. Yeah, I live for those moments. They're the best.
Oh my God, that little pause, and you're oh, here we go.
And we're and Johnny, hearing that Johnny scream, oh man, I just whip it on stage. The show that we played at Luigi's, I was slapping my head so hard.
Oh my God.
I think my hair hit the floor, and I was
yes. And those are the moments too, when the hi-hat, it'll be 5 feet away from me because I've just been beating on it so hard. It's just oh, it's so much fun.
See that last note is way over here.
It's true, because as we're playing it, I feel we're all feeling the words too as well. And certainly when I'm singing it and playing it and stuff, I always put myself into this place where it's almost I get these flashbacks and these memories throughout my entire life of all of these people telling me that I couldn't do something that I know that I could, like Angie was saying, I'm a mechanic. And I do a lot of stuff that I work in a very male dominated world. It's always been like that for me. I've always been around men. I'm from Alaska, where the ratio male to female, there's a lot more men. So it's been a crazy life. And even having certain men in my life and just certain people, they've really influenced me. Some of them very negatively, but some of them very, very positively. So when I think about playing that song, it's almost like I'm talking to all the people who are just laughed at me or made fun of me, or just, just made me feel like I was less than, a human. And so I think that's what the song is truly about. And it wasn't about anybody in particular. I mean, it could be if we wanted it to, but it was really just about tackling life itself and saying, fuck you, F you, I can do this. And, I don't care what you say about me, and I don't care about the things that you think about me. And, that's really what it was truly about. So it's nice being able to have these girls jam it with me. They've made the song possible. I never would have had this song become what it is if it wasn't for them. Like they just made it what it is. Like especially with every other song I've ever written, the songs I introduce, like they play them in a way that I've never would have heard them before, and it's like incredible to hear it come to life. Like these songs that I wrote have a heartbeat, if that makes sense. Like
no, it's so awesome because like with Johnny, it's like a lot of my other songs I write a lot of like I can write a super like lighthearted song, super fun, but I have my deep songs too that I write. But yeah, as a front woman who writes her own songs, like that's another reason that excited me about what Angie said earlier about Atrocity Girl. Johnny's lyrics, like I don't know, like when you're singing a lighthearted song, you know what it is. But there's a lot of people who write deep songs and you can tell they're not serious about it. They're like, oh, we should have a deep song because bands do. Like, we should write a song about, like, having a rough time. But, like...
I mean, that's true. Like, it goes to say, too, with Kitty Junk. Like, when you guys first started and you guys were just jamming and stuff, and now, like... the stuff, because Ryan is she's a fantastic lyricist and a fantastic guitar player, like, so she's just super talented. And then like they've been playing with Kitty Junk and stuff, and the more that they've evolved, it's like you could tell like her lyrics have even changed so much. The way that she screams and sings has evolved, and it's like, I don't know, something is just awoken in you, and it's incredible.
I think it's you. Like I think Johnny and I feed off each other. Like we're both these two amazing like just like musicians and songwriters, and like I don't know, I feel the same way about Johnny's stuff. It's like I watch her and I'm just like, holy hell, I'm like, wow.
Yeah, same.
So
same.
I think we're just pinging off each other, and it's only all it's doing is just bringing us higher ground every time, and it's awesome.
That's the foundation of a good band like that, where you feed off each other's energy in that way, and you kind of push each other to want to go higher and do more and everything like that. It's a beautiful thing.
I mean, I've seen a lot of bands like that who like it just like it falls into a toxic realm. But like with Johnny and I, and even with Angie, like we're all just so close. We spend so much time together. That's why this quarantine has been so special to us, because like that moment we decided to like, okay, well, it's either we can all stay home with everyone else, or we can quarantine together and get this album done and record and just spend all the holidays together and the year together. And it's done nothing but just bring us so incredibly close.
Oh my God, yeah. And even when someone's at work or something, we're still talking. Like there's still a thread to catch up on, even through the day, like before someone gets off work. I mean, so it's kind of silly, but it's also amazing. And we have so much fun with each other. I think
like even last night, like I had an Uber delivery. I had an Uber delivery of Chipotle, and I had to text them on the third. I was like, oh my God, the driver is so hot. I was like, you guys don't even know what's happening.
Yeah. And like, or if it's super like late, if it's like 2 a.m., I'll text them and I'll be like, I just wanted some eggs. Like I'm just down here making some eggs. I mean, it's so like
2 a.m. is like when I'm like, I kind of like wake up just right before I wake, because I wake up at like 4:35 in the morning. So I'll hear my phone buzz at 2. I'll be like, Angie, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, I'm just making some eggs.
Bro, it's like a marriage, like no joke.
Yeah.
There's like constant communication with us. Like they'll know if I'm having a bad day, or I'll know if they're like something's wrong. You know, I'm just like, what's up? It's so funny.
Every band like that, it's like a polyamorous marriage. Like every single band
for sure.
Like that. Yeah,
absolutely.
You know.
Oh my God, that's so much fun.
But a literal polyamorous marriage? Or, no, never mind. I don't know.
Yeah, no.
We're not saying anything. No, just kidding.
No comment. Can we do no comment on podcast?
I've been joking lately that like COVID has just turned the whole world's social relationships into one big polyamorous relationship, because now it's like you can't just hang out with someone anymore. You have to be like, well, who are they hanging out with? Like, have they been tested? Are they you trust
Oh my God,
them?
yes. That's so true.
Oh my God, that's one phrase. Only COVID you can say that. I was like, have you been tested? Only in COVID will you ask your friend, like, you should get tested before you come see me.
True, dude.
Yes. Yay. Oh my goodness. I get that from my drum students too, like, because we're 6 feet apart and we have like masks, but also this like barrier in between us, and they'll bring like their little paper that says they're negative, like before they come in.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, okay, well then let's drum together.
Oh. That is adorable.
So
Paper?
it's like they will constantly update me about their like COVID status.
Heaven forbid you actually get it. Who you been hanging out with? Oh, my 7 wives.
But it's so funny because and I'm like, I'm just here. But I mean, most of my lessons have like switched to Zoom, obviously.
Yeah.
But even then, it's just really incredible how much this has changed everybody's perception of like, personal relationships in business, and it's funny.
How much do your students get a chance to like listen to the work that you do with Atrocity Girl? Like, is that a thing or?
Oh yeah, like I mean, I'm really like proud of Atrocity Girl. So I will. The first thing I'll do is send a link to the work, and if they're not like vibing on it, then first of all, they don't need to say anything. But also, I haven't run into that yet. The parents of smaller kids don't let them listen to it.
Yeah, that's different.
For my older students, either they're into this kind of music anyway, because I mostly teach rock, drums, and mostly girls and women. And the majority of my students are double kick players, so they're fine.
What's funny about that though is I find that's like, being the age I'm at now. When I started playing guitar at age 11, I think back and I'm like, all of the bands that I listened to who back then were considered vulgar. Or like for example, when I found like Blink-182 or like Slipknot, when my mom, oh my god, I have to tell you, when my mom found the Slipknot album art,
I remember
for
that.
Iowa in my CD case, she's like, oh my god, she's like, what is this demented garbage?
It's just a go. I was literally just listening to that before you pulled up to pick me up the Iowa album. I'm very influenced by Slipknot.
So,
yes.
but also, years
tattoo.
ago, I actually did music. I was writing. I never published it because I didn't want to go down this route. I worked at a preschool and I wrote my own originals for preschool kids. They weren't licensed.
Aww.
I didn't TM them, but I just, the home teachers, they already sing like Patty Cake and like, the Wheels on the Bus. They already do the classic stuff. So my director, she was like, she's like, you're going to play music for the kids. What are you going to do? And I'm like, I will ask the teachers what their theme is and I will write like original music. Like if they're singing a song about boats, I'll write a song about sailboats. It's easy. Yeah. Just whipping words together. It didn't need to be high tech or anything. It's for 5-year-old kids. But I eventually quit the preschool, even though the parents were asking me for the lyrics and the songs. She's like, my kid was singing a song at home and I can't find it anywhere. And I'm like, it's because I wrote it. You won't find it anywhere. And she's like, well, where can I buy your album? And I was like, I don't have one. But the 2 years after I left the preschool, the one thing that I learned the most is that kids, are always learning and evolving, and they're going to find their own way. The worst thing about kids are the parents. Hands down. Like, kids are innocent. Kids will find their way. They're not going to become evil. They're not going to become gay. They're not going to become like anything that's like bad. They're going to find their own way. Like when I was 11, I didn't become anything crazy. I am who I am, and I found the music I did, and I play the music I do. But at the worst thing, the parents' influence can be one of the worst things.
I know a lot of the music for me that I found when I was younger is like, that was my escape, actually, from a lot of the bad emotions that I was going through back then. It's like you put on a record and, it's not going to make you feel worse about who you are. It's going to make you feel better.
And I love it. I think it's incredible, especially growing up and going through puberty. Music interprets what we're feeling, the things that we can't talk about when we're growing up. Especially like, if you've sort of grown up in a world where, maybe your parents were very present and you really just had to sort of depend on yourself to learn everything. And the only thing that you had to comfort you was, the music. And I think also too, like, I a lot of artists really tend to take that and utilize that to try to help others, which I think is incredible. And that's why we listen to our favorite bands. Like, that's why they do what they do, because they're expressing their own feelings throughout their own lives, and they're trying to tell us and let us know that we're not alone.
Although I will say the worst thing I ever did, I forgot what age we were, but my mom and dad hired a Christian babysitter, and we were doing like this Bible study. This is back when I was a kid. The worst thing I ever did is if I can recall correctly, my stepbrothers and we tore a couple pages out of the Bible. We ran upstairs, we locked the door, and then we played Limp Bizkit, Chocolate Starfish, and the hot dog flavored water as loud as we could. And she was banging on the door. She's like, you kids are in so much trouble. She's like, when your parents get home.
That's so
But that's like the worst thing I did.
That's
listening to that terrible music.
Actually, no, I would be mad if my kid, well, if they were listening to Limp Bizkit, not because I have anything against the band. I'm like, how could you have such terrible taste? No, I'm
Hilarious.
No, listen to this. Not give me that.
yeah, exactly.
Oh my God,
let me give you Iowa. Listen to that.
Nice. I had the best, like the funniest experience the other night because for one of the like homework assignments for class for audio is to, put your headphones on, make sure you listen to an album like on YouTube so it's in stereo or, however you can get it in stereo. And I remember I put on, one of the options was Prince Sign of the Times. And it's just such a masterful album and masterfully engineered. Shout out Susan Rogers.
It's Prince.
And it's Prince.
Duh.
But then I was just like lying there, with my headphones on and I felt like, oh my God, I'm 16 again. Like it just was so that feeling of escape and listening to amazing music and just having your headphones on and just like closing out the world and just really diving into the sounds. And I feel like I noticed that I wasn't doing that as much. And I was like, oh my God, this is what I'm going to do like all day, every day is just like lie back and put my headphones on.
It's strange to think back to that time because it's like, that's all we had back then. We didn't have
that's
social
what I mean.
We didn't have social media in those days. We didn't have like phones you could just run into or something like that. You get home, you put on a record and just zone out for like 3 hours.
That's what I mean. And I realized how much I missed the sound where plugging my buds into the phone or something, I was like, oh my God, the sound. I was freaking out just how much better everything sounded. And I think, just getting into engineering in general and recording has obviously made it, there's just such a glaring difference now that I really am paying attention to. So it's just so nice to listen.
I remember memories of that. Like I would, back then I actually still had the Walkman.
Yeah.
The yellow Walkman with the clip and the headphones.
Yes.
I had that, and I remember because I lived down in Yelm, and we had some anchorage on a property. And I remember like putting on the headphones and putting in. I forgot what I had a couple different tapes, but I just remember putting in the tape and then just walking out to the back 40 with a stick, and my cat would follow me, and I'd go on adventures with my cat in my backyard, and I would like whap the sticks and walk through the brush, and I would dig in the dirt with it, just listening to my headphones after school. No Facebook, no MySpace, no.
Same. I definitely did a lot of that too. I was always very creative, even when it came to like building things I started working literally as soon as I had turned 14 years old because I wanted a job so bad, like a weird workaholic that way. But as I started working, I would be going to high school and going to work at the same time, like, and then I'd be doing other studies, like I'd be doing classes through UAA, the University of Alaska, doing like side class. So I had all this shit going on. But I felt like the only thing that got me through all of that, and then just having like, parents that were very, very, they just weren't there. So it was always dependent on my own feelings and just experiencing the world by myself. And the only thing that truly got me through that, and now that I'm 33, it's like it's never changed, but I've always been, I'm a huge Massive Attack fan. The girls know I'm a huge Massive Attack fan. So I felt that way listening to Mezzanine. It's going to sound weird, but Massive Attack has like that band for some reason, or that group, they have like influenced me to write and play the songs that I play now. Even though they're a rock genre, that group, they've influenced me the most throughout my entire like musical anything, like endeavors. And I remember just like going through high school listening to them, and like nobody else knew who they were. There was nobody else in my high school that knew who Massive Attack was. I thought I was the weirdest one that listened to the weirdest music, but it was special to me.
No,
it was
same. Like when I was a kid, I thought I was the only one. I loved, actually, I was listening to things like Hans Zimmer and Danny Elfman, and I would also listen to like Juno Reactor and Don Davis from the Matrix Reloaded soundtrack.
Oh, the Juno Reactor song that was on the Matrix 2 soundtrack. I used to play that.
And I was like listening to stuff like that on the bus, and everyone else
day.
was like, "Yeah, I'm into like you should be listening to Korn and Deftones and like
I listened to that too.
I
listened to that too. But
I know.
I was like, wait a second.
But so did I. But then I would also catch myself listening to that other stuff. And I'm the same as Johnny. Like, actually, even though I play a lot of punk in my style, a lot of my influences are like these epic, like somatic, like movie artists, like Hans Zimmer and like Juno Reactor and things like that. I'm like, wow, like it's such a broad like influences. Like they don't have to be the same music you play.
Electronica. Like I'm a huge fan of electronica, and it's weirdly influenced me in like beats that I've thought up in my mind or something like that. Like.
I do the same thing, I think, with The Cure, Disintegration. Like, that was such a huge influence on me. And even though I really don't play like that at all. And I love, like, kind of like faster, harder music. I can still get in that mood where it's just like, go away, Mom, I'm listening to The Cure. You know, and it's like, I want to be sad and gloomy and in my room alone in the dark. And so I think that's very, like, a big part of me that doesn't necessarily translate into everything, but it's there.
It's always there. Yeah.
It's always there.
Yeah, as much as like the AFI hymn and like the Used I listen to, I'm like, man, I have a lack of like sad songs.
I love AFI. Well, AFI's got a lot of dark songs.
Right.
Yeah, they do.
I'm like, I listen to a lot of that stuff, and a lot of it has influenced my playing, but I was like, I thought about my whole like original like set list, and I'm like, I really don't have any songs like that where I'm just like, cut my wrist and black my eyes.
I do.
So
That's funny because I don't really have any like upbeat songs. Like, I don't think you guys ever really ever heard me play.
yeah, that's why we're opposites. My songs are so like poppy and like,
I just grew up in a very like dark world, and I've had a really strange past where it's like, it's gonna sound weird, but it's like, that's all I know. And I also suffer from a very, very mild form of bipolar disorder. So I do go through swings where the depression is what I feel the most, more than the hypomania. And even when I'm feeling hypomanic, it's like, it's weird. I'll feel depressed at the same time and stuff. And it's like,
that's why we're opposite. Because my experience is that everyone knows I'm a huge Green Day fanatic, and everyone thinks their music is like happy. But if you listen to his lyrics, like it's that happy music laced into like that.
but sometimes
It's deceptive, yeah.
and it sounds strange, but like sometimes like I feel like it's more powerful when you embrace the darkness and, you know, inside you, to release it through music and stuff, because I feel that's just where most of like the experience of life and your emotions really come from and evolve. Like,
That's the only upside of going through a hard time in life.
Yes.
Is that, yeah, I do think it is an impetus for great art in that
it's like
way.
the curse of the musician. We're all cursed somehow in a dark world.
It's just
my
funny
God.
listening to Johnny's and I genres, though, the way they're different. And I'm just like, but sometimes the songs that I listen to when I'm playing these AG songs, I'm like, I relate to this profoundly. But when I hear the emotion in my head, that's not how I would come out of me. That's, you know what I mean?
But that's what's great.
That's what I love about it. Yeah.
We each come from different places, different backgrounds with very different influences. And I think that, you know, it combined together, it makes something unique, hopefully. But
That's why the sound of all of us are just, it's incredible. It's like all the influences, the way it's just mixing in this pot is just insane.
Yeah, that definitely goes back to like the Jekyll and Hyde thing, because I can be so like Manson is my spirit animal. But I love upbeat, like Lunatics punk type of, you know, music like that too. And so like I love going between those vibes as well. And Manson was my first concert too, so there's just something that's untouchable about that experience.
What year was that you went to go see him? Was that like 98,
like
99, around there?
2001.
Okay. Oh, 2001.
Like my first
okay,
big concert, you know what I mean? Yeah. And yeah.
That would have been like kind of peak Manson era, right around there.
Right? It really was. Yeah.
We were the same age. Like,
Yeah. 2001. Yeah. So like, and yeah, freshman, like where I actually like paid to get it. Anyway, my first official concert. And like, I still have one of the streamers in, like upstairs from that concert, because it meant so much at the time. But yeah.
I think that's why I like playing live shows. My mom actually was opposite. She didn't want me going to live shows. My mom kept me very sheltered. She didn't want me to go out at all. So my first concert, my uncle had to take me to, and it was Kiss 106.1 Jingle Bell Bash, headlining Cartel, Pussycat Dolls, JoJo, Fall Out Boy, and I think Backstreet Boys.
That sounds like peak 2005.
And that was my first concert, because that's the only concert I could ever get to. Like, my mom didn't want me going to concerts. So I as much as punk as I am, I never claimed to be like the punk scene, because like
You are.
Like, growing up though, I grew up in Yelm in the sticks. My mom was just like, "Oh, you're not going to a concert, and if you do, I need names, numbers, where you're going. I need to know everything about you, what you're doing."
I know it sounds weird, but I wish my mom was like that. Like, she was so absent. Like, had no idea like the things that I did. She just knew that I worked and went to school.
No, my mom kept me on such a tight leash, and my sister and I, like, yeah, my first concert wasn't until like high school. So. Straight up. I think that's why I listen to so much music though. Like, even though I never went to a concert, I like listen to so much music in the radio.
Yeah.
Because that was as close to a concert as you could get.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember at one point, I want to say I was about 13 years old. And it was so funny because that was around the time where I really started hearing like electronica, and I was like, what is this? Because I realized that I loved rock music so much. And I was when I was younger, I was 13. I had like this little black boombox, and I was using like record the tapes.
Yes.
And so there was like this illegal radio station that was playing. I think it was playing for only a few months, but I would rush back home from school and I would go to my little radio thing. I'd turn on the station. I'd be jamming out to electronica music. It was so new to me. And I was like, this is just incredible. And then I would take my little tape and didn't matter if it was like something on the tape, I would record over it, but I pushed the record and play button at the same time.
Oh.
And I would record all these electronica songs. And then a few months later, they were taken off the air because I don't think they were supposed to be on that signal.
Radio, yeah.
But it was so cool because I felt like such a rebel. You know what I mean? It was like one of my first introductions into electronica music because I loved rock so much. And then I discovered Nine Inch Nails. I was like, oh my God, you can take the two and put them together. Whoa.
That's amazing.
I did the same thing, but actually it's weird. I started playing guitar freshman year in high school, but like in middle school, 7th grade, I was for a minute super heavy into like rap and R&B, and I did the same thing Johnny did.
Hell yeah.
I could actually, I think at one point in 8th grade, I think I could recite the Eminem show verbatim.
I feel like I think we grew up on it too, like late 80s, early 90s stuff, like old Dre, old Snoop, like.
But the thing is with Johnny though, then I found like punk rock, and I started to find like Blink-182, Green Day, Jimmy Eat World, and I was like, holy crap, I love this. I want to play guitar.
The first time I ever heard like, it's not like electronic, was Daft Punk. Like,
oh, it is.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yes.
But it was like coming from rock, and like the first time I heard that song, I was like, buy it, use it. You know what I mean?
Yep,
I do. And I was like, what's happening? And I was just like rocking out. I was just dancing in my room. And I was like, whoa.
Although
I love Daft Punk.
It's so good.
the year right before I started playing guitar, so I'll admit this. I didn't start playing guitar because I'm good at it. I started playing guitar because it was a lie. Because at the 8th grade year into 9th grade year, the summer, I went to my dad because my parents were divorced. Every other summer, I go to my dad's house. The neighbor at his condo had a garage sale. I found a ukulele. I brought it inside his house, and my dad loved the oldies. He always had the oldies on. So he saw me I went home, and my mom could like tell I was playing like it was like only on one string. I was just playing the melody line, but she caught me playing like the melody line to like Mellow Yellow and a Pretty Woman and stuff like that. And she's just like, oh my gosh. And she's like, you're getting really good at that ukulele. And I brought it to school one day, and this kid, his name was Nate. And he goes, hey. Oh shit! I almost forgot. But he was sitting there. He had his guitar. He's like, you play guitar or any instruments? I'm like, I play. Yeah, I was like, I play ukulele and guitar. He's like, you play guitar? And I go, yeah. And then I went home and I was like, oh crap.
Yeah, I gotta learn it. Quick.
Hell yeah.
So, but eventually, a story for another time. But eventually, my stepdad bought me a guitar and I brought it to school. And I'm like, yeah, I play.
Yeah.
It just so happened to be that like I just for some reason it just like hit my soul and I didn't stop.
Hell yeah.
There was something about it too. I want to touch up on that as well. So my dad was actually a guitar player. He died when I was about 5 years old, but he was a fantastic guitar player. Like he only played Fender Stratocasters and Crate amps. And I remember hearing him as a child, and I think that really stuck with me because, you know, when you're a baby in the womb, you hear everything that happens. So you hear what happens in the outside world. So my dad playing guitar, you know, while my mom was pregnant for 9 months, it's like, that's all I heard. And so when I was 5 years old, or just before I turned 5 years old, I got a Christmas gift, and it was like this little tiny guitar, and it was all yellow, and it was plastic. And I'm 5 years old. I thought it was the coolest thing that I had ever gotten because my dad played guitar. So I'm over there like rocking on my little plastic strings and shit. And I'm like 5 years old. I thought it was so cool, and so I had this passion for guitar. And like anytime that I'd see a guitar, I would go nuts for it. Like I wanted it. When I was in like preteens and my teenage and through high school, I would always have Guitar World magazines, or like magazines where you could buy guitars, and I cut them out and I would collage the crap out of my walls out of all these guitars that I'd wanted, you know. And then I think I was about 9 years old, and my uncle, he had this old Memphis guitar. It was like an off-brand Defender, but it was a gorgeous, beautiful guitar. It was all red. It was like almost like your first love, like when you first fall in love with somebody. And I would always want to go to his apartment. I would beg my mom to go to his apartment because I knew that the guitar was there. And I would beg my uncle just to open the case, because I'd sit there like on my knees and I'd just stare at it and I'd touch it, and just really gentle. Like I'd be kind of a shy, but I'd sit there and touch the strings and stuff. And I was so fascinated by this instrument. And it's so funny, like, bless my uncle, dude. He was always such a crazy drunk, but he was fun. It was like fun to be around him, like when he was drunk. So, you know, I'd be like this 9-10-year-old girl, and he's like, "Hey, little niece, go get me a beer," you know, and I'd be like, I'd be sitting next to the guitar because he knew how much I loved it, and like I just wanted to be next to it. And then he'd have me go grab him beers, and he'd just be getting drunk in his room while I'm sitting next doing my thing in the other room, and he would be blasting Iron Maiden. Right? So Iron Maiden was like, that was it. That was the band. I was like, this is incredible. I'm like, what is this? I want to sound cool. Like, I want to beat those guys. And like, that's where it started right there. Yeah. That is legit where it started, was Iron Maiden and that red guitar. And like, just, yeah. I was like, oh.
I think. No, just like, because I'm just thinking, like, I really try to think back now, like the origins. And I think now, being like the youngest child trying to get attention, like banging on things like, "Hey, whoa, look at me.
Oh my God, really?
Listen to
that
me."
Makes so much sense. Holy crap.
Like, just like banging on the table or the wall. Like, "Hello.
Pots of hands.
I matter too." No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
no. I'm kidding. But
You're not kidding. That's true. That's
I'm so not
so
kidding,
true.
because I still like will totally walk around the house doing that. Like, "Hey, attention."
Chip chip Cheerio.
She is a Leo.
I am. No, but I think that's like all of these things, they have deep roots, you know, like starting drums and really getting into rhythm. There's so much emotion that flows out of that and comes through on the kit. And I do think that, you know, all of these experiences really influence our choices.
This is why I've just enjoyed just being a fly on the wall for this conversation. I think for the last half hour, it's fun. It's like I get to play
We're just going off.
No, it's cool. Like I get to play band therapist. You know, it's just like, all right, you know. Like,
well, it's funny too, because like my Tama, like one of the first ones I really actually like worked hard for, to really save up for, and like got my Zildjians. That's the one my students get to use. Like, my students get to use the good shit. But sometimes they'll like hit something. I'll be like, oh, it's a little hard on there. Like, whoa. So like, I'll go, like, especially with COVID, I disinfect everything. So now I'm like polishing everything after and like disinfecting, and
I never worry about it, because with a nice drum set like that, I challenge people. I'm like, yeah, whack the crap out of it. If you break it, I got a problem with the company at that point, you know?
Because it's just like each cymbal to me, like I know exactly where I was when I bought it. I know which paycheck it was. Like, you know what? I'm serious.
I'm sure he knows what you mean.
Like, I know which one.
One cymbal, that's in the last 20 years, those things have gone up so much. It's like one cymbal now. It's like $300-$400. Yeah, it's
seriously.
wild.
And so, but I want students to learn on something that sounds good, so they're like inspired to, you know, actually like keep going and get something for themselves and like really know, just have some fun with it. And I'm over here on this, like my little teacher's corner with like a snare.
I'm glad she's giving students these good things because like, my family didn't have that much money, just your typical middle class. But like, when my stepdad brought me to get my first guitar, the only thing he got me was nothing special. It was just it was that Fender Squier with the Roland Mini Cube. And it wasn't anything special. And even when I brought it to school, people were like, that's your stuff. And there was this one kid, his name was Danny, I remember, because his dad was in a band. So he came to school with like this gold-plated black Gibson SG, and he would bring like this Marshall to school.
Okay.
And play it. And I'd go to the band room, and I have my little Squier Mini Cube, and he would just sit there and play it. They were shredding.
Your shit was better.
They were like sitting there shredding like Dragon Forest and Atreyu, both from my Valentine solos, and I'm over there like Green Day, like, do you have a time to maybe listen to me play? And I'm just like my freaking little Squier.
Listen to me play. I know that I am gay, but what can I say?
Yeah, right. No, seriously. And they're over there playing like Atreyu, like, diddly, watch it good. I'm like, those kids are cool.
Oh no, you were cool too.
There's room for everyone. The world is a rainbow.
Because they nicknamed me Squier Kid.
Okay.
Oh, so no, it was bad. No, you guys don't understand. It was bad. Like in high school, because I had like, there's like this middle class, like, the rich kids know, like they'll make fun of you. Like I was in a music hall and they were like, hey, look, it's Squier Kid. Because I had like the low end guitar, like that. If you had a Squier, like a first act, they knew you were jack crap.
Jesus. Sounds like a movie.
But yeah, all these other kids were pulling out like Jackson V-necks, Gibson SGs. They were playing out these awesome like Mitchells, and I was just like, damn.
What?
Doesn't matter the gear, it's how you play it.
That's the philosophy I live on, and you better believe it.
Oh my God. Like, I grew up in Eugene, Oregon. I was like, nobody had gear.
That's when I go to shows and I see all these dudes like
running from meth heads.
Like post show, I see all these dudes in the corner and they're talking about their cool gear. Like, I got this and this and this. I'm just like, dude, I'm just here to play. I was like, do you got anything else to talk about other than how much you spent on your forehead cab?
No, we don't.
No, really. But I've been like that since high school. I'm just like,
but we worked a lot for it. We got to talk about it. We got to say something.
I was like, dude, but yeah,
It's funny. Those are like the people that I avoid, like the plague, and then I don't feel like there's anything wrong with it. But I feel like there's a certain toxicity that some musicians have, where it's like we all sort of grow up at a certain point in time in our lives where the music is what drives our passion. But then when we get to sort of our adulthood, it's almost like for some people it's just a competition.
Or when you join the industry finally.
Yeah, and then they forget what drove them to create that passion. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and then then you get people like
in order to acquire that stuff, you have to spend so much time working, jobs that are completely unrelated, that by the time you get that gear, it's just like, oh, I forgot how to play now because I spent all my days at this job.
It's true.
Working to make money to buy this expensive piece of gear, and it's just like, dude, just get what you got and then go.
It's very, very true, because like some of the most amazing albums have been made with like not even like the greatest gear that that we'd have today. Think about how we've recorded music throughout centuries. Like,
and you'll see that on my Facebook. Like I'll post that every once in a while, especially when I post, like, I don't know, because since you're my friend now, you see that I post those videos. Yeah. So every once in a while, someone will like post and they'll ask me what my gear rundown is, and when I tell them, they'll be like, so you play like $120 Mitchell pink guitar and like a little amp, and I'm like, dude, it's not about how much I spent on it. Do you see the way I'm slamming on this right now?
And you make it sound incredible. Like, it's just the vanity, I think, that's been so intertwined with like the music world. It's like, what have we really truly forgotten what music is supposed to be about?
I can slam just as hard on a $5,000 Gibson than I can on a $200 pawn shop like Squier. I'm telling you.
But you probably wouldn't get a job at Guitar Center if that was happening.
No.
Oh my God.
Like when I go to Guitar Center, I can be like, even as a customer, I walk in there, I'm like, oh no, he's not going to play Sweet Child of Mine. Don't play Sweet Child. Don't play Sweet Child.
He's going to play Sweet Child of Mine.
Oh, he's playing Sweet Child. Oh, dear God.
Well, I feel like you would definitely understand like the gear. It's even if it's like really high tech gear, sure, we all understand it, but like that doesn't mean that's the stuff that you play. I mean, she could still get a job at the Guitar Center for show, even though she plays like what she plays. It doesn't matter.
For sure,
Well, but I was talking to that guy. I mean, the last video I posted, I told the guy, I was like, trust me, like, I have my dreams of the gear I want to afford, but like at the same time, I was like, I don't want to stress myself out. Like, I gotta be real with myself. This is what I got. If I get to that point, actually, I have these dreams sometimes because the thing I love about Green Day, it's Billy Joe lately has been doing this. He likes to pull people out from the crowd to play like Ramones, like these old classic punk songs. He'll bring them on stage and he'll pick kids to come up and play these songs. And I went to the Revolution Radio concert at the White River. He pulled this girl up on stage and they were jamming. He's like, "What's your name?" And she's like, I forgot what her name is, but she was like, "And it's also my birthday." And Billy Joel's like, "Yeah, it's this girl's birthday. Let's play Blitzkrieg Bop." And they were playing the song. At the end of it, Trey sent the girl, one of the kids, off with the drumsticks, and then Billy Joel's like, "It's your birthday, right? You said it was your birthday? Here, you take that. That guitar is yours. Get the hell off the stage." And the girl was flipping out.
Yes. Oh my God. I've just personally not had good experiences at Guitar Center, so I'll leave it at that. As a woman going into the drum department, but
I haven't had good experiences, and I'm a dude, so
right. Well, and also like I was wanting to teach with them for a while.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Yeah, but we have a non-compete clause, so you'd have to stop teaching at your house."
Oh, yeah.
I was like, let's not.
But if I ever get to the point where I have 50,000 guitars, I'm gonna damn well give some to like some girls.
Because that's the thing about it is like I have stuff, but it's like I don't like having a lot of stuff lying around that I'm not using is the thing. So it's like if I'll have one kit, it's really nice or something, and maybe like my standby or something that I gig with. But it's like I hate having like a bunch of stuff lying around if I'm not using it.
Right, exactly.
Me, so, yeah.
Nate, did you have any specific questions?
No, I've been kind of letting y'all riff. This is a jam session. I'm just seeing where y'all take it because I was going to say everybody's just having a good time talking.
Like,
so
sorry, we kind of just went off on a lot of stuff.
I guess it'll be your most interesting podcast.
Did we answer a lot of the questions you had?
I think we got everything in, and man, I'm good with it. So I'll just say, is there anything that y'all want to add in real quick before we wrap up? Where can the people find you? Tell us about the music.
You can find us everywhere. No, but you can find us atrocitygirl.com, which also has all of our links. Atrocity Girl, Facebook, Instagram, atrocitygirl_band. We are Bandcamp Atrocity Girl. We are Twitter Atrocity Girl. We're Twitch Atrocity Girl. YouTube Atrocity Girl.
I mean, you can literally just Google us and we're the first thing that pops up.
Yeah, we got that TM trademark, so you just go to Google, type in Atrocity Girl.
If you like the single, please check it out on Bandcamp or iTunes. You can find us on Spotify, Atrocity Girl. Tune in to the YouTube channel because we post our live streams there after the fact. Usually we go live on Facebook and then, we upload to YouTube. So
thanks again, Nate, for having us. We appreciate you.
Yes, thank you, Nate, so much. We did not tell the weed story, but maybe save that for next time.
We'll save that for the next podcast when you got the next single coming out.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah, we're going to be back. We got Atrocity Girl's got some good stuff coming your way.
I can't wait for it. All right, Angie, Ryan, Johnny, thanks so much. Y'all appreciate it tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Nate. Yeah, we're definitely strapped for a little bit of time. We have a few hours because we're literally tracking our album today. So yeah, we got to get upstairs and start tracking it, dude. But yeah, it's been an honor. It's been a privilege being able to talk to you again. So we really, really appreciate it, and thank you again.
Dig it, y'all. We'll see y'all later, everybody. Take care.
See you, man.